You're watching BCTV. We're all about Branford. You're watching BCTV, Branford Government Television, a service of Branford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the town of Branford.
Positioning your camera so the face is visible on the recording to ensure an accurate record. Each time you make a statement, please indicate your name before any comment. Any party wishing to participate can use the raise your hand feature. And once the meeting has begun, you might want to mute your mic. Commission has the responsibility and authority to apply the Connecticut statutes and Branford's inland, wetland, and watercourses regulations to matters it considers. This commission's role is limited to the protection, preservation, and regulation of inland, wetlands, and watercourses, and land use activities that would likely have an impact and a diverse impact on them. This commission can't consider matters outside those areas defined in our regulations, and we seek to apply those regulations consistently and uniformly in its considerations. Well, I'll take a roll call for the commissioners on this evening's call. Commissioner Goklowski, are you present?
Commissioner Goklowski, present.
Commissioner Begeman?
Commissioner Begeman, present.
Commissioner Mirsky?
Commissioner Mirsky, present.
Commissioner Armstrong?
Commissioner Armstrong, present.
Commissioner Boda? You're muted, Commissioner.
Commissioner Boda, present.
Okay. We have staff with us this evening. Deputy Director Frederick.
Present.
Environmental Associate Sandberg.
Present.
And Zoning and Wetlands Enforcement Officer Gwinnell.
Present.
And I don't think I missed anyone. There's 17 on the call. No, okay. First up on the agenda this evening, we have the minutes from March 26, 2026. Those are available again on the website and in the inbox. Is there a motion to approve?
This is Commissioner Begeman. I make a motion that we approve the minutes for the regularly scheduled meeting on March 26, 2026.
This is Commissioner Goklowski. I'll second that motion.
Any discussion or amendments to those minutes? Okay, we'll take a roll call. Commissioner Goklowski, how do you approve those minutes?
I approve them.
Commissioner Begeman?
Commissioner Begeman, aye.
Commissioner Mirsky?
Commissioner Mirsky, aye.
Commissioner Armstrong?
Commissioner Armstrong, aye.
And Commissioner Boda?
Commissioner Boda, abstain.
Okay. First up, we have applications for review. Inland Wetland 26-6, 26 School Street, drainage improvements and minor site grading. This is a continuation from our March 26th meeting. I believe we have some additional information since that meeting. Let's see. Is that correct, staff?
That is correct, and I believe we have the applicant present to present it.
All set.
Who wants to take the floor?
Good evening, Jim Preddy, Criscolo Engineering, here at 420 East Main Street in Branford. I'm going to go to the plan. Let's see. Hopefully you can see the map. So this is the property at 26 School Street, owned by the Branford Land Trust. It's just a little over a quarter of an acre. I know it seems large on the scale of this drawing, but it's a very small site. You have the two buildings that are connected. These buildings have been here since the late 1800s. The proposal is that they're doing some renovations of the building. They have over the years had water problems, specifically in the back of this connector and in the front of this connector. So part of what they'd like to do is kind of reroute that drainage. Eventually, after it saturates everything, it does run away from the building, but they're trying to avoid that the saturation damage that continuously occurs. And the other part of that is there's a paved area in the front that goes into the garage that they're removing and adding Stony Creek granite with drainage layer underneath it. The roof area does not change. It's been the same for I can't tell you how long. The area in the front, it's all very flat, but once this area gets saturated, it does run this way. The sidewalks really flat, but the back edge of it is sort of a high point, and it's very slight. Everything's very flat there in the front. But if you went out and looked at it, the back edge of the sidewalk along here is kind of the high point, so it doesn't really run over the sidewalk. It runs down this way into this wetland on Peter Henschel's property, which, if you recall, you folks or this commission was a while ago, but approved Mr. Henschel to build a garage in the wetlands. The other thing is there's a low spot here next to the building, which just pockets water and it gets its way inside the stone foundation and creates moisture problems in the building. So there's a little fill that's happening here, and then just some very local fill against the back of the building. Again, this exposed ledge is high right up to the middle of the back of the building. So one half kind of goes one way and one half goes the other way. In the front, they're moving the entrance from where it was to this connector piece, so the front will have a walkway, but the two roofs on either side currently drain off into that area, and the splash doesn't help the wood siding either. So what we're planning on doing is putting a landscape stone strip, or more of the Stony Creek gravel stone strip here with a perforated pipe underneath, which will connect to a perforated pipe underneath this gravel area here, which eventually runs down and outlets over in this area here adjacent to the wetland. Now, this pipe, sits in a crushed stone layer, and it's flat through here, and then there's a 1/4 inch pitch through. So this basically, these stone layers have to saturate and fill up before it finds the holes in the perforated pipe, and then kind of works its way down this way to to the end of the PVC, and we'll have a riprap, like a bowl, so to speak, but a riprap energy dissipator, so that there wouldn't be any erosion at the end of it. Truthfully, during this saturation time, when the stone has to saturate for the pipe to start to flow, some of it will be getting in the ground as well. So, I suspect there will be actually very little coming out of this pipe. But we did do a drainage analysis that kind of analyzed the whole affected area of the site, basically this whole front half of the site. Some of it goes this way into this gravel and always has, and into the driveway over here. Some of this area did drain off from the curb cut into the road, very little piece of this driveway. And then again, this area in the front here and a little bit right up against the back of the building would kind of run around the building and over here. So the net of all that, when I ran hydrographs pre versus post and added them back together, the net is we're actually reducing the runoff here. I will show you. So this is what, this is a rough sketch, but this is what, would be at the end of the pipe. It's kind of a little looking section. It's a little bit of a bowl. So it would, again, we're not expecting very much flow out of this. Even at 100-year storm, I think it was only half of a CFS. So this would protect the outlet from any local erosion at the end of the pipe. Are you seeing the detail, or are you still seeing the map?
I'm still seeing the map.
Okay. I have to get out and back in, I guess. Let's see. Stop sharing. All right. I need to go share this, share. my. I'm not on my office computer, so wow. How did I just do that? There, here it is. So hopefully now you're seeing it.
Yes.
This is the detail at the end of the pipe. There'll be a riprap bowl more or less for to break any energy coming out of the end of this pipe. Again, we expect very little flow. Where did I go? There is one other interesting thing I found today that I did want to share. Share screen. Share screen. BLT. This is a map from 1980. It was cut off. You can see it was 1980. I think it was done by somebody in the town. It might have been the town engineer at the time, but this was the building. You can see the ledge in the back and the property line over here. But here, interesting to note, this may have been before they put the drainage in the road, but there was a bituminous culvert that ran right in that same area from the road into a ditch and then into that wetland area over on what was Sea Strand property, what is now Henschel. So, we're talking about very little flow, an area that had historically been disturbed, and it doesn't appear that we're going to really have any negative impacts at all on that wetland area. And I guess I'll take questions because you have heard some of this before.
This is Commissioner Baskerville. Is there an easy way to describe the change in the direction of the drainage from what was current, what is current?
Can you pull the site back up? That will help.
Go ahead, say that again.
Can you just pull the site plan back up?
Yes.
Thank you.
Share. So on here, and I actually do have
Yeah.
I do have a roof plan, but there's a ridge that runs down this building here, and there's a ridge that runs down this building here. So the left half of this all runs to the left, and this portion here all runs to the left. There is, I think, the only gutter on the building currently is right here, and there's a downspout that discharges into that stone area. Again, this is the same thing. There's a ridge that runs through here. The right half of the building already runs this way without any gutter and kind of runs off in that direction. This piece in the middle is a single slope. So you do have a little bit of the roof on this side and a little bit of roof on this side that drain onto it and then runs into the back. They'll get a little bit more, and I have.
Yeah, 1 second. On the document that's in the OpenGov, the sheet I'm looking at is 1 of 2. I don't see a 2 of 2.
Oh, there was.
I'm wondering if.
Yeah, so it was mislabeled. There was a 1 of 1 drainage and a 1 of 2. They were mislabeled.
Oh, okay. But the 1 of 2 has some red designations on it
Yes.
in terms of direction.
Yes.
And I didn't see that on the site plan that I'm looking at.
No, that was just for the drainage report. I don't think I have that with me. Jamie, can you put that on the screen? If I stop this, the ones from the drainage report. So that's supposed there was 2.
And yeah, the one above it is 101.
Yeah. If you go up, yeah, okay. So that's the existing. So you can see what's going off to the south. Basically, where that bridge piece that connects the 2 buildings is, that rock really runs right up to the back of that building and kind of splits it. So whatever runs off on the left side of that kind of goes around to the left, and whatever runs off on the right side of it runs down to the right. in the proposed condition, because they are putting a gutter on the back of that building, it's picking up, it's only about 100 square feet extra of roof area. That's, if you go to the next page, you'll see right in the middle, right.
But this Commissioner Bassett, are we changing the roof peaks?
No.
We're not doing that, right?
No, we're not changing the roof peaks. It's just because they'll be adding a gutter on that back of that connector piece, that they'll be grabbing just a little bit more roof that'll be going to the right instead of the left. And it's only about 50 or 60 square feet, I think, difference.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is Commissioner Boda. Where is the on the site plan? Where is the energy dissipator? The bowl?
If you go to the next page, it's right there. Right there in an area that's already lawn right now. So we're not taking any vegetation out here.
This is Commissioner Boda. So that is the primary thing that is the driver for the permit.
That's correct. That, and you see that triangular area there. Well, actually, because of the how small this site is, the whole site's basically in the review zone.
Right.
But that footing drain outlet, I'll call it a footing drain because it's or an under drain outlet, and a little bit of filling they're doing up against the building, just because there's a depression up against the stone foundation that collects water before it spills out, and it creates moisture problems. And then the little hatched area in the back, again, just some local grading to try to get the water away, off the building.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the front, they're taking the pavement out that exists and putting in Stony Creek crushed stone, which will have other stone layers underneath it to make it drivable. But so they're actually taking out.
You're making it more permeable.
More permeable, because we're putting 6 inches of stone with the, where that PVC is going, and the amount of stone that's just in the front, I think, is about 120 cubic feet of storage that doesn't exist now.
And this is Commissioner Boda. What is the distance between the discharge from that bowl to the edge of the wetland, and then it looks like there's a tree line in between? Is that correct?
Yeah, there's some vegetation in that wetland that kind of creeped out. So I know at some point there was quite a bit of Phragmites there, but I don't know what. There's some other brush and stuff in there now. Yeah, I think they tried to mitigate. I think Mr. Henschel tried to get rid of over the years the Phragmites, but you could see it. Well, the hole in the front here is, I think, because they were trying to get under the building, but farther on there was always these depressions, because I think it was washing under the building or something.
Mm-hmm.
This is Commissioner Wasserman. I believe when you talked about the sidewalk, Mr. Purdy, you said that there was kind of a lip along the side that is closest to the building.
Yeah, that's correct.
Is that preventing flow to the sidewalk, or because it looks like the topography has it sloping toward the rear anyways?
So if you look down the sidewalk there, you can see how right in that, if you go past the pole there, you can see that whole area there. It drops to the left, and then the sidewalk's dead flat. So nothing's really going over the sidewalk there. And to that grass area just before that Peter Henschel's barn there, or garage, the whole area there. That grass area, it's very flat, but it does eventually run toward the south, toward that wetland, after it saturates everything.
Okay, and the driveway is the north, correct?
The driveway is to the north. In the foreground is the north. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Mr. Preddy, this is Commissioner Goklowski. The whole purpose of this application is to stop all the future water damage to the current building. Is that correct?
That's the primary function. Yeah.
That's the primary function. And the other thing is aesthetically make the property look better.
Well, yeah, that and then because it's a historic structure, there were certain rules. They can only do certain things. So we're kind of a little bit at their mercy, but we were able to make it better and still follow their rules as well. I think
Thank
Rick
you.
Weiss might have alluded to that at the last meeting.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Commissioner Boda. Is that a storm drain right next to the telephone pole?
In the road, yeah.
Yeah. And nothing is, any of the water is going to that pole or to the crushed stone? Is that the
So
idea?
there's a little bit of the driveway that runs out of the curb cut where there's the sidewalk doesn't have that lip. When we're picking up a little bit of it in the stone, but it's not a very, again, the scale of this is so small.
Yeah.
It's
But you're not adding to the storm drain.
in the road, no.
Yeah.
No, and it does that does outlet ultimately to a tidal area, but I'm told that's never flooded. But we didn't want to. At one point, we thought about connecting directly into it, but that really, after talking with the town engineer, and that seemed like a bad idea.
This is Commissioner Bassman, any other questions for Mr. Preddy?
Jamie Frederick and Wetland Agent. I'll just request that we receive a copy. If you can just email Olivia or myself the detail for the outlet structure and the map from 1980, so we can add that to the file. That would be appreciated.
Yeah, the detail I'll put right on the plan, Jamie, but I'll send you the other map too.
Okay, thank you.
This is Commissioner Begman. Jamie, in your staff report, did you mention something else about another silt fence?
Not this staff report.
Okay.
This is Commissioner Bassman, that's actually a good segue into the staff report. You want to bring that up, Jamie?
Sarah, are you seeing it?
Yes.
We are.
All right. Jamie Frederick and the Wetland Agent. I'll kind of skip over what I feel like we've already gone over.
Yep.
We do have the silt fence. There is the inlet protection proposed for that catch basin we were just talking about. We've received the stormwater calculations the commission requested at the last meeting. No landscaping is proposed. However, they're also not really impacting any existing landscaping or vegetation other than lawn. East Shore reviewed the parking relative to the septic system on site and didn't have concerns. So I would recommend that the commission consider a pre-construction meeting, initial erosion control inspection, stormwater drainage structure inspection, and final inspection. And as possible conditions for consideration, energy dissipator details shall be provided, which you got to preview this evening. Gravel and crushed stone shall be placed such that it is contained to the areas shown on the site plan to help ensure that there's no migration. Area to be regraded shall be stabilized with vegetative ground cover prior to final inspection, and energy dissipator shall be monitored and maintained on a regular basis to ensure proper function along with standard conditions and general provisions of all permit. Any questions?
This is
Any
Commissioner.
modifications or additions to that staff report? Commissioner Goklowski, do you have
Yeah,
something to add?
the question is, are they on a time crunch for this project, or they want to get it done as early as they can for the season, or
I
are they
believe
ready
so.
to move forward?
I believe they need to get some of this done so they could work on the actual renovations of the building.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
This is Commissioner Bassman. So we heard about the new drainage calculations that seem to be satisfy the questions from the commission last meeting. Going over to staff report. Don't seem to be any addition in terms of considerations. This seems to be a application that's ripe for a motion.
This is Commissioner Begman. I'll make a motion that we approve in the wetland 26-6, 26 School Street drainage improvements. According to the staff report, revised 4/8/2026 with the possible conditions, standard conditions, and general provisions of all permits.
Do I hear a second?
Commissioner Gokowski, I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion? We'll vote. Commissioner Gokowski,
Commissioner Gokowski, aye.
Commissioner Boda,
Commissioner Boda, aye.
Commissioner Armstrong,
Commissioner Armstrong, aye.
Commissioner Mirsky,
Commissioner Mirsky, aye.
Commissioner Begeman,
Commissioner Begman, aye.
Commissioner Basserman, aye.
Thank you, folks.
All righty. Next up, inland wetland 26-9, 187 Cherry Hill Road Extension. This is the construction of a single-family home with pool and grading and earthwork.
Good evening.
So I have a staff report on this, but Jamie, is there anything to add before discussion of the staff report?
Jamie Frederick, and the wetland agent. The commission hasn't gotten a presentation on this. The applicant is present, so I would get a quick presentation and then we can dive into the staff report.
Good evening. My name is Romeo Valentin with Giuliano Associates. I'm going to share my screen. All right, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have.
Sorry, excuse me. This is Commissioner Boda. Mr. Valentine, what's your, are you an engineer? Are
I'm
you?
the project engineer, sorry.
Thank you.
So this is lot 9 of the Cherry Hill subdivision. I'm sure you've seen plenty of this. So basically, the new plot plan, the dwelling is slightly bigger than the approved plans. So that's why it's here at the commission. We have a 0.62 acre lot, and we have a 4,953 square foot house, 3-car garage, and side load garage, so the driveways come to the side. We have a 12 by 36 pool, in-ground pool in the back, with a pool house and patio around. We have, so in order to mitigate the runoff from the larger building compared to the approved plans, we had to put in some Coltech systems, some underground systems. So this front system here is going to take the roof drains from the house, and then a portion of the water will go into the catch basin along Cherry Hill Road extension, and then the rest of it will come and drain to grade at the rear of the lot. And then for the pool, a portion of the pool is, the patio is proposed to be pervious to try and reduce the amount of runoff. And so we still have a curtain drain around the pool, and that's going to be collected in this underground detention system, and that will drain over here on this riprap, along with roof drain from the pool house and the footing drain from the house. Let's see. One of the big things I think I want to mention here is the the lot coverage, because while I have it slightly over on the zoning table, I have it at 26.4%. That's calculating the pool patio as impermeable, but obviously they use something else that's going to help with that. But also, in going through the regs now, I believe that the driveway is not included in lot coverage. I have it included, so if we take that out, it's 19.6. So it does meet the requirement of 25 under 25%. We received a comment to add silt fence along between lots 8 and 9. So we can do that. I kind of left it off originally because they're planning on grading lot 8 and 9 together, but I'll add it on so when they're not working to connect the grades, we can have that blocked off to avoid the erosion. And then zoom in here for wetland specific. We have double row of silt fence along the back of the property, and we are keeping 60 feet from the wetlands that are off the site. We're still disturbing 6,168 square feet of upland review area. And I think that's all the main stuff. So if you have any questions.
Jamie Frederick Inland Wetland Agent. I'll just make the comment that lot coverage for zoning pertains to structure, so it would be the house, the pool,
Yep.
pool house. It's not all impervious.
Yeah, I think that's where the confusion
obviously.
was, because for some towns, lot coverage is everything, so we kind of just throw it all in there, but realize that after. So
This is Commissioner Boda. Can you go back to the initial underground? You said this is a detention system underground, and you
yeah,
said some of it
so
is going. So just
this part here.
yeah. So that is just for the house and the roof.
Correct.
And what is it in terms of 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 150?
Oh, we reduce compared to the approved plans for all storm events up to 100-year storm.
And you said that some of it is going out to the street drain?
Yes. So basically, the original proposal, part of the site drained towards Cherry Hill or Cherry Hill Road extension, and then part of it went to the rear of the lot to the wetlands. And so we collected a portion of it and sent it to the drain. That's all going to go to the basin that's on lot 7. This is the approval. So right here is lot 9, and then this is the basin. So
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait, this is Commissioner Boda. We look at a lot of plans. I'm sure you've been looking at this one plan a lot, so I'm going to need you to just slow down a little bit in terms of orientation. So what lot number are we talking about?
Lot 9.
Lot 9. Okay, and then on this zoomed out, where is lot 9?
So I don't know if you can.
Okay, yeah.
This here.
That's okay, and so
it's connecting to the drain here, which is going to come down Cherry Hill Road extension and come into the basin.
I see.
So we don't want to, although our dwelling is bigger, we don't want to add more water into the basin. So that's why we have a portion of it coming to the catch basin, and whatever the basin can't handle, we're letting out the back of the property to grade.
And what kind of underground system is that?
It's a Coltech R330 XL HD.
So tell me about how it functions. Is it infiltrating? Is it holding and releasing? What is it?
It is both infiltrating and then holding and releasing. So the pipes are, well, first we have gravel underneath the system. We have the system, and we have gravel on top and all around the system. So it'll infiltrate what it can, and when it gets to a certain level, it will go through the pipes either to grade or to the catch basin. So if we see here, the invert out to grade is 154. Invert out to the right of way is 153.5. So it's going to, at 153.5, it's going to go to the drain, to the catch basin, sorry, and then gets a little higher, then it'll go out to grade. But anything under that, the bottom of the system is 152. So between 152, 153, so you have about a foot that will be retained in the Coltech system and infiltrate before it will start going out to the catch basin and to grade.
This is Commissioner Boda. You're putting stone in underneath that?
Yeah, so these systems have they're basically encased in stone. So there's stone below it. I think it's a foot of stone here. 6 inches of stone below it and 6 inches of stone above it.
Was there a perk test done for that area? Or are you relying on the 6 inches of stone?
So we have the stone, but we're using a very like low infiltration rate. So we're basically using like the smallest that we're allowed to do without conducting a perk test. So we would assume that with, if you actually did field test, if it was higher than that number, then it will infiltrate better than what we're proposing.
This is Commissioner Basserman. In a 100-year storm, how much of that doesn't infiltrate through the detention system and goes into the drain?
The papers, if I have an exact number. Okay, so basically, I'm looking at the stormwater drainage report, and the approved lot was
Can
letting
you put
off.
that up? Is that part of your plan here?
Let me get the document. 1 second.
Jamie Frederick and the Wetland Agent. I just want to note that Commissioner Melissa Papatones joined at 7:33. Chairman, do you want to confirm that she is seated?
That would be a good process step. Commissioner Papatones, please indicate you're here by saying aye.
I'm here.
That's good. That's good. Good enough for me.
Can you see the report?
Yep.
Okay. So we're going to scroll down to these tables here. So this is the approved lot totals for the entire site, and then our contribution to the basin itself versus what's proposed now. So for a 100-year storm for the entire site, we're going from 425 cubic feet per second to 3.99. And then we have to the basin itself, we had 0.42 cubic feet per second, and now we're down to 0.3.
Is Commissioner Basserman, did you say for the entire project?
Yeah, so for the entire site, we have a portion going towards the road, which is going to the basin. And then we have the portion that's outletting in the back to grade, which is basically going to like the wetland area. And we're reducing for the entire site as well as our contribution to the basin itself.
But just so I'm clear, but this is not lot 9 that I'm looking at.
No, I'm sorry. This is for lot 9. This is, we did an analysis for each lot.
Okay, each lot. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Boda, can you go back to the plan?
Yes.
Okay, so you talked about the Coltech in the front, and then what was for the back by the pool? You have a similar underground
Yes.
detention, some infiltration.
Yeah, so it's basically it's a Coltech system. It's a slightly different model, is the R902 HD, which the HD is the heavy duty portion of it. And it's going to collect via this curtain drain you see here. And then it basically works the same way because it's a different model. It has a little bit more to it, so it has like some end caps, basically collecting it more water. And again, it has yeah, a half a foot of stone below, half a foot of stone above, and then again, it's wrapped around. As you see the hatching that's around here, it's encasing the entire unit. And then it will, let's see, bottom 142, and then the invert out is 144. So again, about a foot, about 2 feet of retention before outletting to grade. Basically, just reducing how much water we're letting out of the site.
And this is Commissioner Boda. Can you talk about the during construction? I saw you've got a stockpile marked. Can you with putting those Coltex in, and some of the other work that is being proposed, can you talk about the construction process and sediment and erosion control measures during construction process?
Okay. So first, I will say that as for the approved subdivision, I believe there's already silt fence out there. So we would probably maintain whatever silt fence is out there and then add as needed. So that's why I have this proposed here. So we will, before anything commences, we'll go out and stake out where silt fence needs to go, and just to make sure that we're not letting anything out into the wetlands, and then stockpiles, I mean, we always include them in the plans. However, we know that when they're actually working out there, sometimes they make smaller mounds in multiple places, but this is basically where we're proposing it to kind of, again, avoid it going into the wetlands. So they'll do the house. All the stockpiles have silt fence around them in our proposal. So again, that should avoid any kind of erosion issues. And again, I will add to the plan the silt fence along the property line for between lot 8 and 9. Again, that will reduce more erosion going on to lot 8. And so I assume that the building is going to be done first, and they'll use that stockpile. If they're going to use the material from the stockpile around, they'll do that before they create too many stockpiles or a stockpile that's too large. And then again, once they're doing the pool, they can use either the same stockpile location, or sometimes they might want to make another location in the back. But again, it's always encased in silt fence to avoid erosion. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Boda. I mean, looking at the location of that front stockpile and the location of the pool, and thinking about the underground system.
Yeah.
I was envisioning that they're going to want to put a stockpile either looking at the site plan to the right of that detention basin, or to the left of the house, and something like that needs to be on the plan.
Okay.
I think one of the things that we see that I feel very cautious about is some of these plans are very prettily done, and then that is not what happens on the ground. And so if there is the likelihood that there's going to be a stockpile behind the house, which I can't imagine them running the construction equipment all the way around to do that,
right,
then it should be noted on the map. And I think the one in the back could either use some additional reinforcement with hay bales, or a second silt fence, as you're starting to get closer to that wetland.
Correct. Okay, yeah, so I can add that and probably this area here to keep it away from the grade, the lowest part of the grade. So, and I can add a note to it to do a double row of silt fence or hay bales as you recommended.
And then again, Commissioner Bodo, on the lower left by the pool house, what is that structure we're looking at?
This here is a riprap apron.
And that is there like a swale or is it just sheet flow? That's
No, it's just these lines here are just the contours. And we have the footing drain from the dwelling, we have the roof drain from the pool house, and then we have the storm drain from the Voltec system.
Why not a dry well? Just curious.
It's in the upland review area, so we like to keep as little disturbance as possible. So,
I mean, you're putting in the house and the underground detention basins and
yeah, well, yeah, I understand. I just the amount of water that's coming out of here, it's also not a high volume. So some riprap there is actually going to be less disturbance than ripping up the area that you need to put in a dry well or something here that doesn't actually need that. We don't need that much volume to hold that much volume there. So.
Commissioner Basserman, if you have to drain the pool because of a 100-year storm or whatever, where does that water go?
Honestly, that's out of my purview. I don't know how they do that.
can tell you what we've seen.
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. I'll just note that on the staff report, I've added standard language that the commission usually utilizes when there's a pool that addresses that discharge from the pool shall not be within 50 feet of any storm structures, the wetlands. I feel like I'm missing something. But we can take a look at that when we look at the staff.
Yeah, if Mr. Bass would follow. I mean, if all it is riprap and there's nothing underneath, and you have a large storm, and then you've got to add water to that because the pool is filled up and you got to drain it. I don't know how just the riprap is going to handle that without, violating its purpose.
Well, I don't think that outlet's meant for dewatering the pool, and arguably shouldn't be used for dewatering the pool because it's part of the stormwater system. So that riprap apron is meant to handle the footing drain and the pool house and what's overflowing from the underground detention system, which is going to be metered out based on the pipe size. So it's not going to be a huge volume of water at a given instance.
It's a 4-inch pipe from the Voltec system. So very small pipe. It's not a lot of water. We're not talking about pool water, but it's just the runoff that's collecting on the patio from rain. And again, there's a maintenance plan so that they make sure that they're monitoring the riprap and fixing it or adding to it, whatever is needed, cleaning it out. So that's all part of our stormwater maintenance plan.
This is Commissioner Boda. Are there any existing trees or shrubs at the edge of construction?
So if you see this line here, This is the tree/brush line. We're not proposing to touch it at all.
Okay, and there's not other large vegetation that is more proximal to the house that isn't denoted.
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. I think there might be a couple shrubs, but I think by and large they're autumn olive, so I don't see an issue with removing those.
I don't have anything substantial on the plan, so I can only speak on large things that would be located. So.
This is Commissioner Begman. So when you were talking about um, the water and the storms and where it's all going,
Yes.
we want the same, we don't, there's a pool, there's a wetland and the wetland needs water and it used to get runoff from this area. So is it the kind of runoff that will be going down to the wetland? Is that still going to be about the same as it was? I mean, you had the 399 and 4.25, et cetera, but I just don't want the wetlands to dry up because, I mean, if you could just
Yeah.
talk to that.
So so all this area, all this area here drains to the wetlands.
Right.
So we're still draining this. It's still going towards the wetlands, right? We're just reducing. We don't want more water to go out. So we're reducing it based on the increase in impervious surface. So we're not like drying out the wetlands by any means because all of this is still going towards the wetlands. And again, even our system here, we're collecting from the pool, collecting the impervious surface, but all the pervious surfaces here, all the grass here is still draining towards the wetlands. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Basserman, I may have missed it. The driveway is bituminous or crushed stone, or
It's bituminous.
it's bituminous?
Yes.
And the stormwater from the driveway goes into that detention system?
Correct. Well, I should say a portion of it. Sorry, if you've seen the grades here, a portion of it is coming down this way, and then so let me see the grades here. 156. No, actually, it looks like it's going towards the wetlands. I'm sorry.
Wait,
So
can
that,
you clarify
are you
what
saying that's flowing toward the rear of the property?
Yes, it's flowing towards the rear of the property.
the driveway?
The driveway, yes. So if we see 158 here and 156 here, so it's draining down.
This is Commissioner Boda, is there anything at the end of the driveway that would direct it, or is it sheet flow off the back of the driveway?
It's just sheet flow. It's not being collected in any way.
My interpreting, this is Commissioner Boda, interpreting correctly, it looks like it would sort of flow toward that detention basin like area.
Yeah,
Seems
so
like it would just kind of,
it'll
yeah,
go over it, but this is grass on top.
yeah.
So it's basically going to flow over it and then come down in this direction to the wetlands. It's going to come down and then over. So it won't actually go into our Coltech system.
It will go into the Coltech system. Is that what you said?
It will not.
It will not, because the can you pull up the specifications for that system? So you said that there is crushed stone around it and under it?
Yes. Let me just grab the Coltech. can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, so zooming in here, this is the side view of it. We have crushed, oh no, we have gravel around the entire system. This is the system that's being used for the pool. So these sections here are the actual systems, and then we have gravel below it, above it, around it, in between. And if you see here, it's basically this is the actual system, the pieces of the system. So it's basically a tunnel, and underneath it is the gravel. And then looking at the side profile again, you see this is gravel. See my red? Gravel all around it. So this
Is
pipe
that
here would be a little bit
so
higher.
the pink line that is
Yes.
around the outside of the gravel, is that just a visual, or is that some other component
I
of the
believe it's
system?
there's a geotextile fabric, I believe, around it. Let's
Does
see.
appear to be calling that out.
Let me see. Okay, so
Yeah.
the geotextile fabric is here, I believe, and I think this is the area around the stone. Oh, okay, right here. Sorry. Right here. This is the fabric that's going around the stone to keep everything together.
And then this is Commissioner Bodo, the entrance to the inside of that is not it's not like it is perforated in different places. It has specific entry and exit points.
Correct. So, so if we see this one here, at whatever height you want your pipe, it makes a hole through that section, and that's at the elevation that it'll have for your pipe to come out. Everything else is sealed. It's a plastic system, so everything else is sealed plastic. So also, if you could see this here on the side, there's no openings anywhere except for wherever you put in the pipes.
Mm-hmm. So if we were to go again, kind of, this is Commissioner Bodo, back to the site plan with the grade, that water is going to sheet flow over the system, which is full of gravel with a geotextile fabric. So it may infiltrate around, but not in the system.
Correct. So it's basically if we have plastic, any water that will infiltrate into the ground will go into the gravel and move around the system because it's plastic, so it won't enter it.
And then this is Commissioner Bodo. So once it's in that system, the one in the back by the pool.
Yep.
You said 6 inches of stone underneath.
So there's stone, and then the system starts, and then from the bottom of the system up to the pipe.
It's open in the bottom.
I can show you that again. Let me see.
Yes.
So this one here. So you can kind of see that
So it's an open bottom
it's
that's
just a
sitting
dome.
on gravel.
Correct. So it's going to collect up to whatever the height of our pipe, and it's going to collect from here into the gravel. So the gravel will be filled with water, and then up to the outlet pipe will be all retained.
And you have this is Commissioner Bodo, and you have not done any percolation tests back there to see. You don't know. Do you know where the water table is?
I'm not aware of the tests that were done. There could have been some for the other lots, considering this has been done for like lot 11, which is uh two lots, a lot over. Um, so they could have been done with what they were doing there, but basically the same system was proposed for lot 11.
It
So
seems, this is Commissioner Vogt, it seems prudent to know where the water table is there. I mean, I understand you said 6 inches?
yeah, we've got 6 inches of stone, and then we've got what did I say? A foot, 2 feet, bottom of the Coltec is
And how
142.
far do you have to dig down in order to get the system in?
The system is 5.75 feet tall, and then I have um top of grade 148. So we've got another 6 inches above the stone minimum of of ground cover. So if we're looking at the 148 contour, we have 6 inches above the gravel here, and then over here we've got 150. So we've got 2.5 feet of ground cover above the gravel, or 2 feet above the.
It's a lot of digging.
Yeah, it's uh, there's different systems, and there's different heights of each of the systems, and depending on how much water we need to retain, it changes the depth of the system. So this is just a system that was required for the amount of water that we were trying to hold. As you can see, this system here is only 3.71 because we didn't need to retain as much water into this system. But again, I will say that there is a basin down at lot 7, and I don't think they've had any issues there with water tables and stuff. But again, I'm not super familiar
What is their
the
proximity relative to the wetland
um
in comparison to lot 9?
The basin
or-
on lot 7 is below lot 9.
yeah, it's about 250 linear feet from the wetlands. So it is, yes, it is quite a bit further, but like I said, I'm not familiar with what was done for the uh, total site subdivision. I can only compare to the approved plans.
Okay.
This is
But-
this is Commissioner Papantonis. I have a question.
Yes,
Because lot 11 is higher than lot 9, correct?
correct,
And lot 7 is below it.
correct.
And the wetlands are below, there's wetlands below closer to lot 7 and all around there because that's the water company property, right?
I can.
Do you have that subdivision map
And-
that you can pull back up, Romeo?
Yes. So this, and this are the wetland areas. This is lot 9 again.
But aren't there more wetlands further down?
Way further down.
I don't have anything located on here on this map.
All right, so you've got water flowing back to the wetlands and water flowing toward that retention pool off to the left of the map.
Yes. So the portion of water that we're sending to the catch basin here is draining down and coming into this basin.
All right, so this is Commissioner Papantonis again. So if how can you do this without a perk test? I mean, this is lower and the water's going down. I don't understand why you wouldn't need it.
Amy Frederick and the wetland agent. The commission has I didn't put it on the staff report, but the commission has on some of the other lots requested perk tests prior to installation to confirm that the assumptions are going to be met.
Yeah.
Certainly could be something you could look to do. Romeo, could you also point out where the 100-foot upland review area is on lot 9?
So it's this line here. It's this dashed line.
Commissioner Basserman, back to the driveway. Why wouldn't I want, if I was the homeowner, a curtain drain at the end of the driveway? You got 1,500 square feet or thereabouts of bituminous surface. Why wouldn't I want a curtain drain that then feeds that that system?
Well,
because that area is going to be pretty. If it's just sheet flow, going to be pretty soggy.
Well, I mean, I will say that we are. I wouldn't. The water's not sitting here. We don't have any low spots, so the water is going to drain off of this grassed area here. I mean,
as long as it's not saturated.
Well, correct. I mean, why a homeowner wouldn't want it? Quite honestly, it means another system in the ground. It's collecting more water, and I mean, we don't want to let no water off the site, like the previous comment of, getting rid of drying out the wetlands. I would say, like we would be reducing a lot more. And again, you could collect everything. You could collect the entire impervious surface increase, but we only do the amount that we need to reduce compared to the approved plans in this case.
This is Commissioner Boda. So we've talked about perk test, depth of groundwater. We have talked about the addition of another row of silt fence and or hay bale, as well as the additional notation for any potential stockpile, a location for that for the back. Jamie, is there other long or short-term impacts that have not sprouted to mind that seems like they should?
I think you've summarized everything. We've got the silt fence comment along the shared southern property line. I did also throw in the staff report that the erosion control shall be installed weekly and after every storm event. I don't think that groundwater has been an issue on the overall subdivision site. However, the site does get very wet after a storm event. So making sure that the erosion controls are in good shape so that they don't have to make emergency repairs right after a storm event is important. And then the pool water comment about not being drained into wetlands, watercourses, streets, or within 50 feet of any stormwater system.
Commissioner Begman, Jamie, what do you mean the site gets very wet after a storm event?
Mostly because the subdivision site was stripped, basically, bare dirt condition, large expanses, it's all a hillside. So it's a lot better now that some of the lots have been completed. But I think we don't want to have a repeat of anything that has happened out there. So as a precautionary measure, I think it's important to, it's always the best management practice to inspect weekly at minimum and after a storm event. We just want to kind of highlight it.
Yeah, never mind.
And Commissioner Begman, just in terms of, we're talking about this driveway and the runoff, can you move the map down a little bit? I'm looking at, oops, now it got really small, but the elevations on the driveway, where all that rock, the the driveway where it goes to Cherry Hill Road Extension, those rock things, is that the driveway going to be?
No, this is a construction entrance.
Okay, that's construction is.
Yeah,
And the elevation naturally would be 156 where your cursor is right now.
correct. 158 here.
That's 158 there?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So and then it goes back up to 158 further down?
So 156, 158, 160.
And the new contour is going to be 160. Okay.
160 comes along the property line.
Yeah.
And then 158 hits the house and then comes up. Oh, sorry, right here. This is the 158. So yeah, the whole driveway this side of the driveway is 158, and then this side is 160. So this portion of it will technically come this way. But again, all of this comes around and wraps down anyway, so.
And Commissioner Bergman, the double line on the left side of the driveway, what is that?
I'm sorry. So this thinner line is the driveway, and this thicker line is the contour line. That's
Okay.
the 158.
Okay. Thank you. It looked like a curve or something.
Yeah, when we do it in CAD, it's actually in colors. So, but to put a big colorful thing on here would be a little bit confusing. But I did just think of not that it will change anything, but lots 8 and 10 have been developed, like the houses are up already, and they haven't hit any water issues. So not that that clears anything, we can still do a perk test. I just wanted to make that known that they've been developed on both ends, and we haven't seen any water issues to our knowledge. So, but again, yes, a perk test. We like to have perk tests done before things happen. But if not, again, we use the lowest rate that we can. Sometimes 0.1, which is basically 0.
Clay.
This is Commissioner Bergman, just a question because I don't know this. When you put an in-ground pool, that goes down, what, 12 feet or something? And you have to do perk tests in general for in-ground pools? I don't know the answer, so.
I also don't know the answer. I would love to assume that maybe the pool company is, doing that as part of their regular installation, but honestly, I don't know.
Okay, thanks.
I do know that they have gravel around the pools.
Yeah.
But that's all I really know about the pool itself.
This is Commissioner Papantonis. Do we know how many gallons the pool is going to be?
I do not. I don't have the depth of the pool, so I can't give that answer.
This is Commissioner Bassman. Sticking with the pool, do we know if it's a prefab?
I do not know. I would assume when they do the permit that we'd have to submit all of that information, but I don't have it myself right now.
Yeah, I guess my concern with some of the other commissioners' questions is if it's a prefab, there's a very heavy crane that lifts that pool into the hole that was dug.
Mm.
And I would hope that there would be protection if such a prefab pool was going to be the pool of choice as opposed to the vinyl pool, which all you need is the machine to dig the hole and everything else is relatively small.
Yeah. If they're using the same pool company as Lot 11 is a vinyl pool, but I can't say for sure.
Right, understand.
This is Commissioner Boda. Can we go just a little to below the pool, in between the pool and the wetland? So, and maybe this is about the subdivision. Like I said, we get so many applications; they all start to blend into one. So, but is this the space between the back of this property? So the upland, we've got the upland review area. We've got this kind of that wooded line that's shown. Is that now conservation? Is that land trust? Like, just thinking about now this what did you say, 4,000-foot house or something?
Yeah, almost
Pool.
5,000 square foot house.
I would be willing to wager that they're going to have a very, very shiny green lawn. Seems like a safe bet. So what is there some kind of like I said, and maybe this is a Jamie question. Is that land trust? Is that town that is now open space around the pond? Like what is after that kind of?
Yeah, no, the ponds are off-site. They're on other residentially owned properties. And there is no conservation restriction on the subject parcel that this application pertains to. There is notification on the deed that there is an upland review area, but that is the extent of anything on the land records.
So perhaps that is that I mean that, and what is the distance from I can't see everything on the map. It's so now it's so no, you've zoomed in
60 feet from the wetlands at its closest point.
What is?
The silt fence.
So, yeah, I mean, is this, we've done something in the past where they're, it's like putting up markers or whatever, just to indicate like.
I would say this would be the only lot in the subdivision that would be required for. And this is the second to last lot that the commission's reviewing.
Were all of them that close to the pond?
A lot of them have, the two on either side came in to extend the lots, and it was reflective of the one on the north end that the commission reviewed not too long ago. So I reviewed those administratively. The two on either side do not have a pool, unlike the one the commission reviewed.
This is Commissioner Papantonis. The plans, the original plans called for what, 2,500 square foot houses. So we're double the size of the house, plus the pool house, plus the pool on this lot.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's too much to be like, you have a resource behind you, and they like I feel like I can see into the future.
So you would be requesting signs along essentially the silt fence, the limits of disturbance to ensure that the lawn isn't expanded.
Yeah.
Is that something that the applicant would be open to?
I would have to discuss it with them.
They're pretty. They're cute. They've got ducks or something on them, but it does prevent people from getting themselves into trouble later, and not doing the thing of, I'd rather say sorry than may I.
I personally think if that's what you want, then that's what goes. However, I will say because the other lots don't have it, I will say that maybe there would be some pushback because of that. But again, if you request that goes on it, then it goes on it.
This is Commissioner Begeman. I know we have asked for signs to go up where there's wetlands, but you're asking Commissioner Boda for some signs to go up to say, or are you asking that they can't develop or they can't cut things down to the edge of their property? I'm not sure I'm not following it.
I think right now we see the limit of disturbance on the map, right? Like this treed line or whatever, shrub line. What is there in reality?
Okay, so the limit of disturbances are silt fence, and this is just a brush line.
Oh, the brush line.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got this existing brush line. And the property line is that dark line behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that brush line is an excellent place to say, okay, you're like, this is here. Don't go past here. If you want to go past here, you got to come to wetlands. Because like I said, a 4,000-foot house, a pool house, a pool, like that. I think we've seen enough that we often see, oh, I didn't know. I just was I was clearing the back for this playscape, and I was just clearing for the like fill in the blank, whatever. I didn't know. I'm so sorry. And that seems quite avoidable with a couple of very nice cedar posts or something granite that says, don't do that.
So this is Commissioner Bagman. What you're saying is that because it's in the upland review area, that nothing should be, that beyond the development line of disturbance, which is a silt fence, shouldn't be whatever, turned into a lawn or something.
Not without a permit. They'd have to come back.
But do we do?
I'm not talking about the silt fence. I'm talking about the existing brush line.
This Commissioner Bassler, what's the material? What's the vegetation between the brush line and the property line?
I think it's just like overgrown grass. But again, like
Jamie
said, it's been cleared, so it's
yeah, right. Okay. Yeah.
Jamie Frederick and the Wetland Agent. So this is from an NRCS soil report, and it's a fairly recent image because you can see the subdivision erosion controls, the bare soil condition I was talking about. Obviously the property line's approximate here. You can see the ponds here. And these are the autumn olive plants that I was talking about. So, I mean, historically the property was a farm, so that's where the extent between that brush line that was shown on the plan, and the proposed limit of lawn is. So this is the proposed limit of lawn, and this is essentially the remnant vegetative line from the agricultural use of the property.
Well, and I mean, we can, if it's helpful, we can talk about it from a wetland chemistry and that pond chemistry issue in terms of, that further development to all the way to the edge of that line. How far is the property line to that pond? Is that 20 feet?
From the brush line?
No, from the property line.
about 25 feet from the left pond, and yeah, it's 24 feet on the right pond, so 25 feet
Look, just
from the property line.
So, I mean, the impact, that difference between where the current brush line is to then those next few feet to get within 20 feet or so to the pond of just straight up chem lawn, will have, not likely, it will have impacts on that aquatic system.
That's understood.
So
it's facts, so I hear what you're saying.
Jamie Frederick and the Wetland Agent. Let me see if I can summarize what you're looking for. So you'd be looking for signs placed. Our standard is every 50 feet along the edge of the existing brush line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if they want
any modification to that would be something they'd come to the commission for.
Yes. They want to plant it with nice native vegetative, like local vegetation, great. But they shouldn't be running more nitrogen and phosphorus right up to that line.
Jamie, I have a question. This is Heather Gwinnell, Wetlands Enforcement Officer. On those signs, do we have any specific posts that they are supposed to go on, or is it chosen by the whoever is installing them, whether it's a contractor or a landscaper, etc.?
It somewhat varies based on the permit and review process, but usually they go on a theater post or sometimes the property owner will want to do something different. And as long as the main thing usually is that it's 3 to 4 feet off the ground so that it's like at
I have
visible height.
I have seen them on
Posts.
sort of the kind of stakes that someone would put in if they were going to be running like just a wire fence with just they
Posts
have
are
kind of a
generally
flange.
acceptable as well as long as they are firmly installed.
Okay,
So,
so we should just specify that.
Frederick and the wetland agent, maybe to help make this more, to ensure it doesn't come back to the commission, would the commission be okay with, yeah, I don't know. Well, we can just stick with the signs. I was going to suggest signs or a shrub, a native shrub barrier, something.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to go in and put a bunch of canopies,
Maybe they don't want to look at signs. They'd rather look at native plants, and then we get some native plants in there.
that would be cool. I think the point is that like we can't. We've been here.
We don't want the slow encroachment out of 1,000.
Yep. Just that lawn keeps stretching back further and further and further.
Completely understandable. It's happened already, so definitely understand that.
Commissioner Begemon again. Given how sporadic that vegetation looked in the aerial, would it make more sense to say a certain number of feet from the property that those signs should be, in a line in a certain number of feet?
I think at the edge of the existing, where's that report? Oh, did I close it? I did. I think if you do a certain number of feet, you're end up possibly going to cut out some of that vegetation that's already there, or you're going to end up with this weird chunk that's kind of
okay.
void.
Whatever you think is better.
Yeah, and Mr. Valentine, you are welcome to come back with a planting plan if you like. If that makes the whoever happier.
Could the planting plan be approved by staff?
Yeah, I mean, I would be okay with that.
All right. Do commissioners think they might be ready to look at the staff report, or do you have more questions for the applicant?
Well, are we? This is.
Oh, you want to actually have revised materials submitted?
Yeah, I want to see those perk numbers.
Oh, you want perk B? Can we not have like a condition of approval to do perk test before to verify our numbers? Would that be acceptable?
This is Commissioner Begemon. I would think that I'd be okay for staff approval if that's the only thing we're looking for. So that the numbers, and obviously if they don't work, then it comes back to us.
Yeah, then a bigger sister would be put
Yeah,
in.
this is Commissioner Goklowski. I think Jamie has a good feeling on what we're looking at and what we've looked at in the past. I don't think she's going to approve anything that she knows that we wouldn't approve ourselves. So I don't have a problem with letting Jamie take a look at it.
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent, to be clear, you would be looking for that perk information prior to issuance of a permit, but you would be okay with it being reviewed by staff to keep the process moving forward. And also to look at the other things that were mentioned, as far as the stockpile locations and the silt fence modifications, signs, or native shrubs.
Could be and.
This is Commissioner Mirsky. Just a question. I apologize for bringing up the pool again, but I'm a little unclear. If I could just have a point of clarification. There was a lot of questions that were asked about the pool, and I understand Mr. Valentine doesn't know the answer, and I understand why. But I mean, as a commission, do we still need more information about that? Because we're essentially, if we end up approving this, it includes whatever that pool is going to be. Do we still need more information about that pool? Is that enough of a concern for us or not? That was unclear to me.
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. I think that if the commission is concerned, probably a condition that, I don't know, we could get more information potentially since we're continuing it anyways. And if the answer's not necessarily known right now, looking to make sure that if any heavy equipment is required for bringing that pool in, that it's not setting up shop right where the infiltration is being proposed.
This is Commissioner Papantonis. I agree with Commissioner Mirsky that we need more information about the pool.
I think you're going to need, this is Commissioner Bassler, I think you're going to need to specify what information you do want.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Mirsky. I agree that more information is needed, but I have to admit I'm confused because I don't know, like, is a legal matter, and I apologize if this doesn't, I hope this makes sense. Like, I don't know if the owners exactly are required to know. I mean, we see a shape here of what the size is.
This meeting is being recorded.
For that.
Sorry.
Just muted Koklowski.
Okay,
I think there was feedback.
Thank you. That was a bit confusing. This is Commissioner Mirsky again. I know we see a size here, which I would assume would be approximate only because do we presume that the owners have decided all the specifications of the pool? I would assume the answer is no, just because of where they are in the process. So if we want more information, even if we requested what that information was, it would be too premature. Am I wrong about that?
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. So they're proposing stormwater management for the size pool and patio. I think, you know, the infiltration test relative to the stormwater system, certainly something that would be within the commission's purview. I think if you're concerned with how the pool, whether it's, you know, like you were saying, one large prefab pool that's coming in, how that equipment is going to impact that stormwater system would be within the commission's purview. As far as like the material of the pool, whether the pool ends up, I will admit, staff will, if they make the pool 13 by 32, we're not gonna bring it back to you. So, I mean, to some extent, knowing all the details, probably like right down to the. I'm just gonna be frank. There's if we brought everything back that had any level of modification to the commission, you would never see the end of anything. Now, if they were to make the pool 24 by 40, yeah, no, that's different. We're bringing it back. Or if they were to say, hey, we know what, we want to bring the grade of the pool up 3 feet and we're going to put a retaining wall below it, then we would bring it back to you. In fact, that happened on one of the other lots. But if there's minor changes that aren't what staff would think is substantial, we're going to review that and say that it's in alignment with what was permitted by the commission. So again, I think you have to be able to relate what information you're missing and how it has the potential to impact the wetland as part of your consideration.
Understood. This is Commissioner Mirsky. I know one of the concerns that was brought up was, I mean, it sounds like the type of pool because of its weight, but we don't really know. And it also sounds like, Jamie, from what you're explaining, and I appreciate the detail, that relying on agent judgment, just as we would with the other matters that we're agreeing, you can also review if there was something out of the ordinary. I understand there could be slight differences. I'm not concerned about that. That if there's something out of the ordinary, you would bring that to our attention.
This is Commissioner Bassman. Some of this is going to get picked up in that pre-construction meeting anyways.
So as part of
Commissioner Boda, I can't imagine them putting in those detention systems and then driving over them with, you know, an enormous crane. Like I don't know, but
Well, the system for the pool doesn't get put in until the pool's put in. So if they were using some kind of machinery, they wouldn't be going over the system. They do the pool, and then as they're doing the patio, they put in the curtain drain in the system.
So Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent, in regards to the perk test, sometimes the commission, oftentimes the commission will have the final perk test done as a condition of approval. Granted, this site is more disturbed than the typical site the commission's reviewing because of the subdivision grading. So I don't think it would be that impactful to ask for the perk test now. My only thought would be, if that equipment does come in and does drive over that spot, it will change what the result of that perk test will be probably.
it would
Again, we don't even know what type of equipment they're using or what type of pool. So we can work that out. I can work that out with the applicant, and we can, see what needs to be considered rather than speculating.
This is Commissioner Mirsky. I appreciate that. It's fine.
This is Commissioner Papantonis. I'm just concerned because this is just so much more than what the site plan that we originally approved is. And now, the house is twice as big, plus the pool, plus a pool house. And then what if they decide now to put in a hot tub too? Because they don't have the pool plan, who knows what's going to happen? It's bothering me.
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent, they are here before us. They are changing their plans, but they are here presenting them. And yes, it's different than what the subdivision proposal was. Frankly, I'm not too surprised by that. So we need to review it on the merit of what they're proposing and what they're proposing to offset. I do see the commission's concern about the fact that it is a large development. And I think the comment that Commissioner Boda had on signs and or vegetative landscape buffer to help ensure that it doesn't get larger without them coming back, make them think twice, is, not a bad one. But they can't be penalized for wanting to do something different.
Yes, Commissioner Bassman, and the evidence that is shown even with the larger plan and the additional structures, et cetera, they accommodated that with storm management systems that, at least with the information that we've received to date, do not add issues for the wetland as the plan that we reviewed. So I guess the only question is, with the perk test, is that something that you want to review prior to ruling on the application, or do we make that a condition? I'm still confused on where we're at on that.
I will like to add, I just opened up my file for the drainage itself, and for infiltration, we're using 0.1. It's basically the lowest we can use. It's basically saying we're not infiltrating, and it still works. So it's like our safety that we build in if we don't have a perk test. So at 0.1, with no infiltration, the system still works. So if they did a perk test, usually it's going to be better than 0. So even in the worst case, we're still making it work with our Coltech systems.
And this is Commissioner Boda, but you also don't know where the groundwater is. You don't know the depth of the groundwater.
That's correct. However, as I mentioned, we have 2 houses on either side, and we have no groundwater. So I would assume that the lot in the middle is not going to have those issues as well.
This is Commissioner Boda. I have been on the commission for a very, very long time, and I have learned not to assume when it comes to information like that. I mean, we can infer, but I don't think it's wise to make these kinds of decisions on inferences.
Very true. I, I won't push back there. That's the truth. And again, I don't think that we would know that until actual construction started, unless we did those. The perch test is not going to tell you the groundwater is. So, I mean, we can do we can do that test, dig some test pits and check for groundwater.
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. The only other thing I want to comment on is the Coltech unit for the pool is located behind where the current silt fence is installed. Because that's pretty much installed at that 100-foot upland review area. So that if the test was done there, erosion controls would have to be mindful if it was done prior to issuance of permit.
This is Commissioner Bassman. It seems to me with some of the outstanding issues that at this point we need to review that before considering the permit with the additional information regarding the hay bales, regarding the signs that look to be posted along the brush line. I guess the groundwater test, test pits, etc. And we meet in 2 weeks if it's possible to get that all collected before the meeting.
I'll have it discussed with the client. I'm not sure if they were expecting to start all of that this soon, but we discuss.
Any other comments, Jamie?
I can send a follow-up email to the applicant team and or correspondence through our OpenGov system, kind of outlining the things that we've discussed. And it sounds like the commission does want to review it again at the April 28th meeting, assuming that information is available. So I can summarize that and we'll see where we're at April 28th.
April 28th?
Oh, sorry, April 23rd.
Thank you.
April 23rd. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have some applications for receipt. Item 5, Inland Wetland 2610, 77 Chestnut, deck replacement and expansion. This is a possible agent approval. You have a site plan, Jamie, for us on this, or?
Yeah, I'm mostly just waiting for the application fee to be submitted.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, we don't. So none of these were submitted early enough to be for any presentation this evening. That's just noted here. I don't plan on providing any information on any of the applications for receipt this evening.
Okay, so that's also true of Inland Wetland 2611 and 2612. Condition for all of those are the same, Jamie?
Slightly different. But so the first 3, I think, might be things that I sign off on administratively prior to the next meeting. I still have to review them. BRIW 26-2 does involve some activity in a watercourse / wetland, so that will be reviewed by the commission at the next meeting. And 509, 545 East Main Street and 612 Business Park came before the commission last fall for pre-application meeting, so that will also be for review at the April 23rd meeting.
Okay. Item 6, enforcement, cease and correct 250502, 175 Cherry Hill Road, Hosley Road, 167 Cherry Hill Road, failure of erosion and sedimentation. This is a continuation of the show cause hearing from March 26th. Let's see, I think this site was visited since our last meeting?
Yes. So Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent, I think the day after our last meeting, met out there. I don't know. Met out there with the parties. I believe the soil scientist that did the investigation is present to kind of give a presentation on his findings, answer any questions the commission may have. And then we also have representation from Regional Water Authority present. So I think I'll hand it over to the team to present unless the commission has any questions.
This is Commissioner Bodo. Can you just maybe we can get a quick reorientation to which
Sure. So I'll use the
pictures.
screen that's being shared right now. So we've got the 175 Cherry Hill Road subdivision, which is conveniently being circled right now, and also was one of the lots is subject to the application that the commission was just reviewing. So during the initial phases of construction, there was stormwater that was entering the road and running down Cherry Hill Road to where there is a stream crossing and impacting that water course. It also appears that there was some sediment getting into the ponds behind lots 8 through 11, and was resulting in siltation of the water course on the northeast side of Cherry Hill Road as well. So the main concern was on the west side of Cherry Hill Road, where the stormwater was coming down the road. It overtopped and got into some of the stream and the shelf wetland area adjacent to the stream. So George Logan was the initial soil scientist on this project and did an initial assessment. And he did that during the growing season. And it was requested that they do a follow-up inspection during the dormant season to see if there was enough sediment accumulated that it was appropriate to do some remedial work, or if it was basically more harm to go in there than to leave it as is. So we met out there. The site has become much more stabilized. The stormwater basin on lot 7 has been redesigned so it doesn't overtop anymore, which was a significant portion of the problem. So the water does not drain down Cherry Hill Road in the same way that it did, and there's less siltation issues in general on site as well. So that's the long and short of it. Hand it over again.
Sure. Good evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Ian Cole, professional soil scientist, professional wetland scientist out of Middletown, Connecticut. I was contacted by BC Investment Properties, the owner of the subdivision. Basically, as Jamie had said, Mr. Logan was not available. And so I was asked to do the follow-up assessment to basically see if during the dormant season, if it still held true that it would be more injurious to the wetland to go back and try and retrieve some of the sediment that had migrated that 1,300 feet down Cherry Hill Road. As Jamie had pointed out, the systemic issues of ENS that were going on at the site, basically the release centered around a pipe up near the exit of the subdivision that was blocked. Since that initial discharge, that pipe has been restored and cleared, and as well as as has been discussed earlier in the night, most of the subdivision has been built out, and there's now 3 lots remaining. So as the site has been more completed, it's been better stabilized, and so they're nearing completion now. As Jamie had pointed out, on March 13th, we completed site assessment. It took quite some time to get this done. I was contacted by the applicant towards the tail end of 25, but unfortunately the snow came and kind of stayed for a very long time this year. So we weren't able to get out until just recently. In looking at the areas, I'm going to go to a report. So in the file, the summarization of the site walk was memorialized in this March 31st report, which I believe is in the application file. And essentially, the main question that was asked was the determination if we could go back in during the dormant season and assess to see if there was any warranted actions to remove some of that sediment. To that point, what I'll do is I'll probably go to pictures tell 1,000 words. Let's see for a second. So this is the site, the bottom end of the site. Here is where there was that issue with the black pipe. Basically, Cherry Hill Road goes 1,300 feet down to this stream that flows to the lake and to the water company property. There's two spots that were identified on the site walk where some mitigation measures could benefit the wetlands. One was a little area on the side of the road where some sedimentation had migrated down into the wetlands, but it really would be impractical to retrieve it without counterproductively taking out the vegetation to do so. So the idea of consideration would be to basically clean up the roadside gutter flow. We can block it with some riprap to help reduce any sediment load in the future. With the systemic issue being fixed, it's now just kind of the road maintenance issue that's ongoing. It's really a town issue, but the applicant, understands that some of the sedimentation that migrated down there was from the cause of their site. The riprap at the side of the road there will probably protect it from any potential future washout issues. But with the source of sediment being dealt with at the site, I don't foresee any future discharges down into that area. And then really the heart of where the restoration activities are going to occur, and I'll go to a picture here in a second, is on this this northern embankment on the downside, the downstream side of the crossing. So that area that I was just pointing to, that's this embankment. So if you can see in the leaf color, it's a little bit different there. That's some sediment that basically came down the road here and kind of washed out into the stream. And so the idea here that was identified by Mr. Logan was essentially to use hand tools, essentially a bucket brigade, to come in and remove the recently deposited sediment, which you can kind of see that sits on top of the leaf litter. You can see the ground structure in here is pretty armored. It's pretty rocky. So the idea would come in and basically a bucket brigade with some workers would tease this material out with hand tools, put it in a bucket and remove it from the site. And basically the idea would be to just take the first couple inches off and expose that rocky natural substrate. And then what they would put down is with a hydro seed is they would put down a New England roadside seed mix, which is a pre-prescribed seed mix that's recommended for roadsides. It has wildflower component to it, and as well as a shrub component to add diversity. So basically they would use the hand tools to take out the sediment, hydro seed this area. Then they would put down an erosion and control blanket that was designed specifically for a high energy site. And then along the Toa slope here, where you can see some undercutting, they would put in some core logs for bank stability. Over time, this area would then get some additional vegetation on it and act as more of a filter strip. Also at the shoulder here could benefit by either some placed riprap or another core log that could be put in place and left there to naturally biodegrade. But essentially what we're trying to do is tease this material back out, stabilize this slope, and basically the area better than how it was left. Additionally, if opportunistically in the low flow period, this little plunge pool on the outlet side of the pipe, there's some sediment that's naturally or even from this project that's migrated down there. If they can opportunistically without creating any turbid water, they would bucket brigade move that sediment out of there, as we discussed out in the field. the best time to do this work would be later in the season, in the September season, where flows are reduced, so you don't have to worry about anything washing out during construction. It's also in a prime seed window. And then everything here would be kind of left to naturally biodegrade in place. So the way this is designed is basically we're coming in, taking out that sediment, stabilizing the slope, and allowing it to naturally revegetate. So that's the restoration component of one of the asks for the cease and desist. The second part had to deal with macro inverters. But before we go on to that, I guess if I would turn it over to the commission or town staff or anybody, if they had any questions regarding kind of the restoration efforts here. And just for reference, this is the low spot that we discussed in the field along the road. It's pretty muted, these areas. You kind of have to sit there and study the gutter flow and the runoff coming off the hillside to find these spots. But this is the area where some riprap would be placed on the shoulder. Basically, water flows coming down the gutter flow here and migrating its way into the wetlands. So just over time, what we're trying to do is just, block that path, add a little filter strip. And then this is a recent picture taken on March 13th of the general road conditions, just for context. So you can see, this whole hillside just naturally weeps along the shoulder. So there's just always these systemic, and this has nothing to do with the development. This is just the general conditions of the land and the road alongside of the areas that we're working. So that's the mitigation. I guess before I move on, I guess I'd ask to open it up to commission for any questions if they have with regards to this process.
This is Commissioner Boda. Two questions. You had said a wildflower mix, or did you say a New England seed mix?
Yeah, so in the file, I included the specifications. Basically, I went on New England Wetland Plant website, and they have a bunch of pre-described seed mixes that are used for appropriate situations. This being the side of a road, they have pre-described E&S control mixes that will take to these kind of nutrient poor environments, and they have components of different wildflowers in there, some shrubs. So actually, I can probably bring it up here.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Boda.
So here's the seed mix, for example, that we're prescribing. So you can see in it, there's some grasses, there's some shrub components, and there's instructions that come along with these seed mixes. So typically the way that they're best applied is if you can get a hydroseeder out there, just to put the hydroseeder to work, and that tackifier will really stick to the hillside. And then putting the E&S control blanket on top of it basically gives the seed something to bind for. It helps keep moisture in the ground. So that's what the erosion blanket that's doing. And what we're talking about here, if we go back to the picture, this area is not very big. So these erosion control blankets, they're basically say 6.5 feet wide. You basically would take, maybe 2 strips wide at most, and to cover this area from the top of bank down to the bottom of bank.
Okay, thank you. And then Commissioner Boda, again, my second question. What is you said that there's a fair amount of sediment in that water course, but what is generally the substrate there?
Sure. So just for context, and I know the commission's probably talked about this at length previously, but quite frankly, it's been quite some time, because I know the Logan material dates back to May of 25. But so this stream itself has a watershed of 160 acres. Let's go to. All right, here. My screen's a little bit messed up. Bear with me 1 second, please. So here's the stream down here. So this watershed is roughly 160 acres. And as you can see, a lot of it's pretty highly developed. Mr. Logan had provided, as commonly we run the USGS stream stats, which basically can spit out, what the impervious surface is in these areas. So when you do it for this site, it shows you that, quickly, there's a 160-acre watershed, 63% of it's developed, 16% of that's impervious. And so really what that points to is basically this stream bank has been experiencing erosion and sediment issues naturally. And regardless of that, as Mr. Logan had pointed out in his early findings, where he had done some macroinvertebrate studies, that the site still provides habitat for that biotic component, such as mayflies, which are an indicator of good water quality. Regardless of, I think it's important to know, as we have them at the table, is, this site is located upstream of a property that's controlled by a water company, and as such, regardless if this stream was a high quality stream or if it was a degraded stream, you would employ the same best management practices, regardless whether the stream was impaired or not. Quite frankly, I probably went off on a little bit of a tangent there.
So I think you're saying mayflies makes me infer that the substrate is stony.
So the substrate throughout here is the stream channel itself is pretty sandy with coarse cobbles and gravel.
Mm-hmm.
The upland soils that surround it, and a lot is you're dealing with a lot of soils that have a high silt content. So as you were discussing before, with the site issues where the site's considered wet, as Jamie had said, and that's just because the soils in this area have a natural high silt content. So anytime you devegetate an area or whatnot, you can create high erodible soil. You have erodible soil, highly erodible soils kind of throughout this landscape. And being the fact that the watershed's highly developed just points to the flashiness of it. And so one of the things you notice when you go down to this stream, right, is it's got this very sinuous kind of flow path, and it's already got a lot of natural undercutting. There's already a lot of natural erosion in the stream itself. And so, as Mr. Logan had pointed out, quite frankly, while the sedimentation discharge that occurred was pretty significant, the problem has been fixed at the site, so there's no longer that systemic issue. And after the 6 months, a lot of this material has been kind of naturally assimilated back into the environment. And being that the environment itself is kind of that flashy watershed, quite frankly, it's almost very hard to tell where the discharge had even occurred by this point in time. I guess that kind of dovetails into the macroinvertebrate question. Part of the cease and desist, the commission had asked for a follow-up assessment of macroinvertebrates. So just in touching on macroinvertebrates for the commission's education, right, they're the small spineless organisms that live in the stream substrate. These include things like insects like mayflies, stoneflies, caddisflies. They also include things like worms and snails and crayfish. The times where you do macroinvertebrate surveys, you can do them in the springtime to catch the early emergence, like Mr. Logan had done, or if you want a more diverse findings, you would typically do them in the autumn. The reason they use macroinvertebrates is because they are sensitive receptors to different pollutants. They can be a reflection of the stream's health. With all that being said, we heard testimony earlier from Mr. Logan in which he did an assessment on these streams that had been experiencing bank erosion and deposition, and for many years, independent of the development. But he noted that they did still provide habitat for aquatic organisms, not just macroinvertebrates, but also fish. I think he noted some salamanders and some reptiles. Additionally, I noted while I was out there doing my observations, you could definitely see some mud chimneys and burrows from some crayfish. I noted some things that I thought were a darting black nose dace, but I wasn't 100% sure. I guess, long story short, this stream has a strong biotic component to it. It has good water quality. Doing a lengthy invertebrate study can run the gamut. I mean, quite frankly, of what you're looking for. I think the point here is that the stream, I think, definitely shows signs of good water quality and shows that, as Mr. Logan had pointed out, that the deposition of sediment just wasn't significant enough to change the dynamics of the stream channel in a way that it impaired it for water quality. So I think, with that being said, it's my opinion that this watershed and the stream conditions have not substantially adversely changed as a result of these activities. And the sediment that discharged hasn't reduced the natural capacity of the system either. So I think for those reasons, the project feels that a maximum invertebrate survey really doesn't serve much purpose for resolving the cease and desist order. So with those closing statements, I guess I'd open it up to the commission if they have any questions. I know Bruno's pretty committed to fixing this issue and resolving it. He spent a lot of time and money fixing what was the core of the problem, the pipe crossing, on town property. So I know he's looking forward to getting this resolved.
Follow-up questions for Mr. Cole?
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. I will note that this cease and correct order went out to multiple parties. Those involved with site construction, resulting in the impact, and also Regional Water Authority, as they're the property owners of the area that was impacted. We do have a representative from Regional Water Authority present. I don't know if they want to be able to speak to the order as well, as they are also party, and share any information with the commission for consideration.
Hi, Jamie. Yeah, thank you. This is Evan Moore, Regional Water Authority. Thank you folks for having me this evening. And thank you for that overview, Mr. Cole. That was very succinct. I think largely we at the Regional Water Authority agree with the restoration plan. Our one thing is we would prefer to conduct the restoration ourselves or through the use of a contractor that we choose. Given the history of the site, I think that's just the best way to go about this to ensure that it gets done correctly. That's our main point that we're looking to, resolve through this. Other than that, comments I have are that the drainage on the road is certainly an issue. I'm not sure if that's in the purview of the contractor or the town or who that falls under. I will say that a colleague of mine and I took a look at the site earlier today, and it does look better. The erosion controls are tightened up and things have improved, certainly. But on our exit, I did notice that the road is in pretty rough shape. There's a lot of loose material all over, big potholes. It's obviously been a rough winter, so I don't know if there's anything that can be done for that, but there is a lot of material that's movable along the length of the road. Additionally, we would like to see some sort of, structure on that basin outflow. Right now, it's kind of just it's just like a muddy pit right there. We would like to see something to, reduce the possibility of erosion coming out of there and, stabilize that area. Other than that, I think those are all my. I had one more thing. Yes. Are there any reports available? I believe for this cease and correct order, there were supposed to be reports furnished to the commission after, whatever the amount of rain was in a 24-hour period. I think it was half an inch or more. I haven't received any of that. I don't know if you folks have that available to, excuse me, to hand over, but that's something that we would like to see on RWA's end as well.
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. I'll start at the end and kind of try and work my way back. On the erosion controls, the erosion reports, that's actually another cease and correct order for this property. But yes, there was a requirement for erosion control reports after storm events of half an inch or more in 24 hours. And that was sent out as a reminder to the parties somewhat recently, particularly as we're moving into the spring season and as some of the lots are having some fresh work commencing. So we can certainly try and make sure that you're receiving those reports moving forward. Those reports are to be submitted until that order has been resolved. As regarding the basin overflow, the basin was modified. They came back for modification to the proposed stormwater basin for the subdivision, and as part of that approval, that outlet was to be cleaned out and freshly armored after site work was completed. Kind of with the understanding that we don't want to necessarily do it multiple times, make them do it multiple times. That being said, if we're seeing an issue, then that should be addressed. But if we think it's something that can hold off until the completion of most of the site work for the greater subdivision, I think that was what the condition was. And then regarding the road is in rough shape, I certainly don't disagree. It was in rough shape prior to the construction starting, and of course there's been a lot of traffic over that road that it hasn't seen in a long time. And then when that pipe was blocked and the stormwater was running down the road, certainly did not help. I would say my main concern from a wetland jurisdiction standpoint would be addressing those areas where the stormwater kind of concentrated and popped over and cut into the wetland areas, making sure those are armored and that we're not continuing concentrated flows. And I know the engineering department is aware of the condition of the road. I think that kind of touches on everything. Oh, and then regarding the RWA either doing the work or choosing the contractor, I don't see any issue with that. The agency can't require somebody to give access to property, which is why we included the Regional Water Authority on this order. So that would be something that I would say the party should, ensure is coordinated.
Yeah, sure. The applicant has no problem working with the Regional Water Authority on their request, so we can accommodate that for sure.
That's great. Thank you. Appreciate that.
So this is Commissioner Basserman. I guess regarding the cease and correct, it sounds like the refurbishing work plan, not only with the gravel added where that erosion occurred, as well as the removal of the sediment from the stream by hand, seemed to be a plan that nobody had an issue with. But I guess the question on the cease and correct, Jamie, is this one that we just continue until the work is completed, or do we close this and modify it because of what the plan was that was presented? What's our choice here?
So I think the commission has two choices. One is to uphold and modify the order, basically approving the plan that AMCO submitted to be implemented with property owner approval. That would, I think, be typical of the commission's practice. The other thing you could do is continue it, but then the show cause hearing remains open. So if you were to uphold and modify, then once the plan has been implemented, theoretically in September, the parties could come back to the commission and say, we've done the work, it's stabilized, we're requesting that you release the order. And generally speaking, assuming that, you know, there's continued attention to the matter and that it gets addressed in September, you know, no further action would be taken. The cease and correct order wouldn't get filed on the land records or anything unless there was a change of circumstances.
Right.
I would like to note for the record, just for all your information, I didn't hear anybody mention it, but this stream is where this occurred, the sedimentation and deposition. It's about just shy of 3,000 feet upstream from the Lake Saltonstall public drinking reservoir. Just to put that on the record, and that's part of our interest in this restoration project as well, since that is under control of the Regional Water Authority.
This is Commissioner Basserman. Does any commissioner feel that the cease and correct would be modified and continued with the plan as presented by Mr. Cole this evening, and that also to report back on the agreement between the property owner and the Regional Water Authority regarding the actual work activity?
This is Commissioner Begeman. Can we also modify it that they clean out the basin outflow?
Jamie Frederick, inland wetland agent. Let me just real quick review the cease and correct order, and I can screen share so that everyone can see it. I would say that kind of generally want to stick to the terms of what the overall cease and correct order was. So the one thing I'll say is where the outflow is from the basin is not a wetland. And it's not particularly near a wetland. So I'm not really sure it's within, I mean, it is within the commission's jurisdiction, I would argue, because it's relative to the overall development. But, and like I said, I'm pretty sure, let me pull up the approval for the modified basin.
This is Commissioner Begeman. While you're doing that, maybe can I ask Mr. Moore what when he asked for a structure, they like a structure on the basin outflow, and what you saw, maybe can speak more to that.
As far as what is existing there right now?
This is Commissioner Begeman. You said that you saw something there that you would, and obviously it wasn't something I guess you liked. So you said that there should be like a structure on the basin outflow.
Yeah, it's just currently, this is Evan Moore, Regional Water Authority. This currently it is just discharging to the, you know, to the ground. There's nothing there but dirt and you know, whatever vegetation may be there, but mostly it's just a little kind of a mud pit that it's discharging to. So something to stabilize the site at the very least, so that doesn't, you know, continue to erode and increase in size.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jamie Frederick, in the wetland agent. I don't disagree that the work should happen. Essentially, right now, it's just a pipe that discharges to bare ground. And it does need to be armored for energy dissipation. I I think where I'm hesitant is the timing of when that might work, when that might happen versus when the rest of the activity to resolve this order might happen. But I think the commission could always cross that bridge when you get there if it does in fact become an alignment issue. But at the same time, I don't think that we're having, as has been indicated by others, I don't think we're having the same erosion issues we were having before. So I don't think that putting that outlet riprap energy dissipator structure in sooner rather than later would necessarily really have a detrimental impact that the developer would have to go back and address, because the stormwater system basin has been revised and it has been protected from siltation and erosion. It has remained fairly stable. I haven't been out there since our March meeting, but Heather, I believe you're out there recently. Would you agree that the basin appears to be remaining stable?
The cease and desist the commission.
Yeah, can you guys hear me? I took off my headset.
Yes.
You can hear me? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the basin the whole site actually does look significantly better. The basin looks stable. And as we've had a lot of stuff this evening about Cherry Hill, overall, it does look like things are moving in the right direction and the basin's fine and the slope is stabilizing. Yes.
So I don't think it would be detrimental to add that if the commission thought it was appropriate to do so.
Evan Moore, Regional Water Authority. Yeah, I would agree with that assessment. I've looked at the site a few times over the last couple months, and the basin doesn't seem to be having the same issues that it was having at the onset of this project, so I would agree with that.
This Commissioner Bosman, I think what we heard, in my mind, what we heard from Mr. Cole addresses B, C, and D. What about A? I'm not getting a better understanding, I guess, of how A was addressed. It's very broad. A is very broad.
Yeah. And Jamie Frederick and the Wetland Agent. I think A is nebulous. It's always changing. I think that we have gotten some previous responses to address that, and it's kind of going to be an ongoing thing. So as we've indicated, we're reviewing an application for one lot right now. I think for the terms of this order, it has been generally addressed. So one of the issues was the slope opposite of the basin was not stabilized and was eroding and getting into the road and impacting the water course. That slope has since, for the most part, been vegetated and or is armored with riprap. So I think it's always going to be a little bit open-ended, but I don't think it's an immediate punch point relative to the order that the commission needs to be concerned with.
So to follow up on that, then, is Commissioner Bassman, would we issue a updated cease and correct identifying the items that were mentioned this evening that needed to be addressed, and the time frame of September, which I think was mentioned, such that there's some specificity to what the expectation is in September?
Well, so here's the other question. If the work's happening in September, it's not going to germinate immediately, and we're not going to have necessarily the vegetated cover. I guess I would ask the soil scientist and Cole to speak to when do you think will be the appropriate time to report back to the commission after implementation of the work.
So what I would suggest is, I think it will, if you seed it early enough in September and you hit the right seed window, you will get the vegetation to take, and you will have growth, and it will be stabilized over the winter. But what I would suggest is maybe a follow-up memo, an inspection report to the commission to document the construction activities that had occurred, to make sure that the site was stabilized. And then it sounds like that there's still going to be ongoing site plans associated with this lot. You could do a follow-up spring inspection just to see if there's any action items to make sure that that hillside has stayed, secured. And if anything needs to be addressed, we can provide a punch list of things that could be taken care of. So I think that would be a light lift. I don't think it would be extraneous to do either of those things. It'd be a good way to kind of document what's happened and if anything else needs to occur. So I guess maybe if you wanted to put like a time frame, you could say a memo due back to the commission for maybe this second meeting in November, the first meeting in November, maybe the first meeting in November, or even the last meeting in October. Because by then the work should have been completed. You'd be able to do a site assessment and have a pretty good understanding if the site looks pretty well buttoned up and secured going into the winter time. It's typically what I say. Would that work for the commission?
I think that is typically consistent with what the commission would look for in this type of situation. Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent.
This Commissioner Bassman, it's a little odd because of the protracted time frame, but I guess I want to be sure that everyone's on the same page in terms of what the expectation is whenever the report comes back. So some kind of follow-up correspondence would seem to be required.
Yeah, Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. I mean, it is fairly typical with enforcement actions in particular, but also with permits that certain types of work can only happen at certain times. I don't know if the spring. I mean, again, the issue with doing it in the spring is that's going to be your highest rainfall. You're gonna have more possibility of washout. And then also as far as any removal of sediment from the stream, it would be high flow instead of low flow. So I think it makes sense to follow the recommendation and do it right. And if that means it takes a bit longer, the plus here is we've had the dormant inspection, so we know what the soil conditions are like, when you can actually see the ground cover. And we have a plan ready to hit the ground running in the spring, in September. And then I think the commission can see what the memo due in November presents, and you can make a determination that it's satisfied, or you can say, okay, we want to follow up in the spring because, yes, you've seeded, yes, you've put down the erosion control blanket, but we're really not seeing much vegetative establishment yet.
So this is Commissioner Bassman on CESA Correct 250502. We are modifying and continuing that enforcement order per the plan that was put in place on April 9th, 2026 to be reviewed in the spring, October timeframe by this commission. Anybody have issue with that? Okay.
This is Commissioner Bergman. I don't have an issue with that. This is Commissioner Bergman, but when were they supposed to have started their erosion reports with after a half inch? How many months have gone by and how many storms have we had and there's been no reports? And what is what teeth do we have? They can,
So here's what I'll say is, yes, it's been problematic. They've been warned. I think that Heather and I will work to make sure that we're getting them moving forward. Quite frankly, it's not part of the cease and correct order, and we don't have that cease and correct order on the agenda. But we'll note that the commission's concerned with it and that Regional Water Use Authority is concerned with it, and we will bring it back if we're not getting those reports.
Okay, thank you.
And just if we could get a motion to uphold and modify the order to have the ANCOL report implemented with property owner approval and a memo due by November 1st.
As Commissioner Basserman, I'll make a motion that regarding cease and correct 250502 175 Cherry Hill Road, that the order be modified and continued utilizing the plan presented by Mr. Cole on April 9th, 2026. That would also involve what else did we talk about here? The establishment of the erosion control along the road, and that the project be reviewed in the fall time frame, be completed in the fall time frame with a report by November of 2026. Did I miss anything? Is there a second?
Commissioner Papantonis, second.
Okay, given that the motion, any further discussion? Commissioner Goklowski.
Commissioner Goklowski, aye.
Commissioner Begeman.
Commissioner Bergman, aye.
Commissioner Boda.
Commissioner Boda, aye.
Commissioner Mirsky.
Chmerski, aye.
Commissioner Papatonis.
Commissioner Papantonis, aye.
Commissioner Armstrong.
Commissioner Armstrong, aye.
Commissioner Basserman, aye. Okay.
Chair.
Cease and correct.
Chair.
Two dot.
Peter,
Yes.
I'm going.
Oh, sayonara.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Cease and correct 0202.01 and cease and correct 04 on 44 Tabor Drive, filling, clearing of vegetation within 100 foot of the upland review. Jamie, this is yours.
1 minute. We just lost a bunch of people. I'm making sure. Okay.
You
The
still
only
got-
commissioner we lost was Boda. Okay. All right. So as you can probably infer, Jamie Frederick and the Wetland agent, we've got some old business here. A property owner is interested in selling the property and realized that there's still a cease and correct order on the land records, and is looking to resolve that so that they can move forward with sale of the property. They do have representation present that can elaborate and or clarify anything that I just stated. The cease and correct order initiated back to 2002. Essentially, there was filling of the wetlands, clearing. My understanding is that site work was done to resolve the order, including removal of debris, stabilizing the slope, and creating a vegetated area off the top of the slope that would be non-disturbance, no storage of anything. And the property owner was to come back with a site plan for site plan approval. At this point, the site has been vacated. And unfortunately, I think part of that vegetative buffer that was established has been impacted. So my recommendation would be that that vegetative buffer area that was required initially should be restored. And then I think that there might be some wiggle room for the commission to be lax on the site plan if you felt it appropriate, given that there is currently no active use of the site, and maybe indicating that any future site activity would have to come before the commission for review. I do think that that vegetative buffer relative to the wetland is important because there is a very substantial fill slope immediately adjacent to the wetland. That being said, that's my high level overview. I was not staff for the commission in 2002, 2004, or any other point when this was before the commission for consideration. So my review is purely of the file, and I did get permission from the property owner to go out and inspect the site, which is how I know that A, the site has been vacated, and B, through that inspection and aerial imagery, it appears that that vegetative area has been slightly adjusted from what was initially reviewed and inspected from the enforcement officer at the time. So I do have some materials.
Can you post the site plan?
1 minute. Sorry, I'm trying to open a couple files so that they're queued up and ready to go. All right, so I'm going to start off with the aerial image from 2025. So here's the subject site prior to being vacated. Wetland is approximately along the rear property line, and the toa slope basically is at the edge of the wetland. The order seemed to pertain mostly to the rear portion of the site, orders, I guess. This is the front portion of the site. Like I said, the order didn't seem to pertain to that area. This is the wetland, the rear of the site, mostly on the town property. To the rear, so most of my first pictures are focusing of the wetland area, but you can see here's that slope area that has been filled. You can see the dark soil and a little bit of skunk cabbage popping up here. Again, this is that slope at the rear of the site. And then, again, from some of the historic activity, it doesn't look like it's recently been disturbed. It looks like it's been the way it's been for some time. But here you can see that this is the top of the slope essentially. And there's very limited vegetation at that top of the slope. Some areas there's more than others. And this is looking from the basically edge of the vegetation at the rear of the site towards the front of the site. So you can see that it has in fact been vacated. All of the porta potties are off of the site. These are the photos from the 2005 inspection where you can see the boulders at the top of the slope and the grass area that was established. And there were also, I believe, white pines that were planted, which I think was indicated in another file in a letter that was dated 2005 or 2006. So again, you can see that that slope was existing at the time of this inspection when the site work was identified as having been complete. So I think that the slope that's there is arguably compliant with the site work that was expected. I I'm just not sure that we have the vegetative area that the commission was looking for to help ensure that that slope remains stable and that nothing was going to further impact that wetland area. So that's my quick summary of my review of the files and my site visit. Does the commission have any questions for me, or do you want to hear from the property owner's representative?
This is Commissioner Basserman. I believe you had a recommendation. Could you state that again, just so it's clear to me?
I think ultimately my recommendation would be to ensure that this, so per the 2005 plan that was submitted, site plan, which I'm not sure I pulled up. We've got the Tabor Drive in the front, principal structure, and then the wetland, which I guess is in fact offsite. Oh, sorry, we're zooming the wrong way. So we've got the slope here, and there was a proposal for a berm to help ensure, I think that, again, no activity migrated towards the wetland. And I believe at some point it calls out an existing top of slope, install 1 foot high berm, 25 feet minimum westerly of easterly top of slope. And then this 25-foot area was to be vegetated. Remove 6-inch gravel and install 6-inch minimum topsoil erosion control blanket.
This is Commissioner Basserman. Is that the part that was not completed?
Well, it looks like it was completed, but it looks like it was to some extent undone. So I would be looking for that to be re-implemented. Because I'm not necessarily seeing that out there under today's conditions. Again, there is one section where it does seem like there's a vegetated area above the top of slope, but not the full length. That's my side of the story. So unless the commission has any questions for me, I would like to hand it over for the property owners team to present their request.
Okay.
Good evening, Commission. This is Attorney Karen DiMartino. I represent the property owner, Peter Panarone, who's owned the property for many years. He's rented it out to United Site Services over the years. They have since vacated the property. I can't speak to what happened in 2005, but according to Mr. Panarone, everything that the commission asked for him to do, he did. For some reason, he didn't follow up to make sure that the cease and correct order had been released or lifted. So for some reason, it stayed on the property for many years. We're trying to sell the property, so I'm looking for the commission's recommendation as to what we need to do to get that cease and correct order lifted at this point, so we can go ahead with our sale.
This is Commissioner Basserman. So there's no issue with the fact that some portion of the cease and correct remains open?
Well, that is the issue. We can't go ahead with our sale until we get the cease and correct order lifted.
I understand, but I guess the question I'm raising is not a paperwork issue. It's the actual activity that either was not done or has since eroded while Mr. Panarone owned the property.
Right. So many years have passed. So at this point in time, the commission has done a site review and has noted that, some of the white pines and the soil may have, dispersed. It's been many years. It's been 20 years. So in order to get that cease and correct order lifted, I'm looking for a recommendation as to what we need to do. Do we need to put more topsoil? Do we need to grade the property? What do we need to do to get that cease and desist order lifted?
This is Commissioner Gokowski. Jamie, in some of the pictures that you showed, were those early pictures from when they did early site work? I saw some plantings of grass or something where the slope was.
Yeah, Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. So the grass photos were from 2005. And like 2005, so we are talking 21 years ago.
Right.
You know,
So
I don't know. So my main concern, and I didn't take a tape measure, would be making sure that for the 2005 site plan. So I think there were two issues at the time that the cease and correct order was last before the commission. Well, there was the issue of the site work that needed to be completed to establish that vegetated buffer and remove debris and create that burn. And then the other issue was the site plan, because there was the porta potty site didn't get site plan approval for what they were doing. So the storage of porta potties right up to the edge of the steep fill slope, adjacent to the wetland, was a problem for the commission. Arguably, at this point, the fact that there are no porta potties on the site, I could see the argument that we don't need a site plan for that because it's not there. That said, any future use of the site that modifies the site would need to come before the commission. But I do think that the ensuring that vegetative buffer on the 2005 site plan, from the top of the slope into the site, would be in the commission's interest to ensure that fill slope remains stable and that any future use of the site, at minimum, isn't any, isn't utilizing that area in the way that the commission didn't want it being utilized previously. And like I said, I didn't take a tape measure out there, and I do know that there is some vegetation that, particularly in the middle portion of the site, that does exist. So it's not the full length of the site that I think needs that 25-foot buffer, but there's definitely some sections that are, I think, less than 25 feet.
Jamie, did the original 2005, I guess whatever the cease and correct order was issued, did it have any specificity about what was expected to be planted in that area?
Yeah, so it's, I think, actually pretty forgiving. It just calls for topsoil and it says North American green cello seed. And then 4 white pines. I would suggest that they don't necessarily need to be white pines. White pines generally are not super tolerant of urban disturbance, so they might want to pick something else that's a little bit more tolerant of anthropogenic impacted areas.
And they don't handle ice well.
But something to kind of demark that 25-foot buffer from the top of the fill slope, I think, at this point, would be what I would recommend the commission look for to resolve the order. It is a little bit, the file's a little bit unique, and it's not extremely clear. There's 2 cease and correct orders that were issued. I'm not entirely sure if they're both still in place or not, so I'd probably just recommend that the commission consider them both and just make a very clear decision once you're satisfied regarding both orders. But I think the main thing at this point is that buffer area at the top of the slope to help ensure that it remains stable, because it is very steep and that fill material is right up against multiple trees, and it's right at the edge of the wetland.
This Commissioner Papantona. So Jamie, so are you telling us, Or are you suggesting like four native plant, 4 native trees of some?
So my recommendation for the commission guidance would be that a vegetative buffer of at least 25 feet from the top of slope shall be established. If there's already vegetation there, that can count. And arguably 4 white pines or an alternative similar tree, native tree, shall be planted to demarc that 25-foot buffer. It did call for a 1-foot high berm. I'll leave it up to the commission if you think that that's necessary or if that's something to be reviewed as part of a future site plan. I'm not sure if as part of the sale there's a known intended use for the site, or if that's information that they feel like sharing. That those I think are the considerations that I would be looking at this point in the game.
This is Commissioner Papantonis again. So if we need to, if it needs to be vegetated, do we just recommend a mix, a native mix that's consistent with our practices, our usual practices now?
I mean, I think we could suggest it and encourage it. I mean, at the same time, I do think that this was approved as the plan. So I think that we should be considerate of it, but we could certainly encourage that, a conservation mix be used instead of unmixed. But I don't know that we could require it and have that be fair, especially.
Yeah. This Commissioner Basserman, similarly, what would be our basis for not upholding the 1-foot berm?
I mean, it was part of the, the part that gets a little bit blurry is A, the 20 years that have passed, and B, the fact that we still don't have a site plan. So as far as we don't know what the rest of the site is going to be used for and whether or not that berm, what service that berm is going to have, but at the same time, yes, that was part of the plan. So,
all right, but this is Commissioner Papantonis. It's not our fault that we haven't lifted the cease and correct, right? It was never brought.
Yeah, no, it was brought to the commission for consideration. They wanted a site plan. At the time, the site was being utilized for something that did require a site plan. So that's why the order remained in place. So I'm not saying that the commission should just lift the order. I'm saying the property owner needs guidance, and that, yes, I do think the fact that time has passed and particularly that the site is vacant, are things the commission should consider. In other words, you're not going to request a site plan for use for storage and maintenance of porta potties at this point because it's not being used for that anymore.
Yeah, this Commissioner Basserman, we may be making this more confusing than it is.
So
go ahead.
My recommendation would be that the commission essentially require that the site plan dated January 27th, 2005 be implemented, with the caveat that the seed mix would be swapped out for conservation seed mix, and that the white pines could be swapped out for more species that's more tolerant of anthropogenic impacts, given that the site is highly manipulated. And then any future site plan, I would say, would fall to future site use. That would be my recommendation. But as I indicated to the property owner representative, it's ultimately up to the commission to determine what satisfies your cease and correct.
Yeah, Commissioner Basserman, I mean, I don't think time is a relevant component here. There was an issue about protecting the wetlands that still exists. And there is a plan that was filed in order to do that. And here we are 21 years later, looking to implement that plan. So I would concur, I guess, with if wetlands is our responsibility, then we need to keep that as our focus regardless of the time frame.
Commissioner Papantonis, I agree with that. Although I would switch out, I mean, I would be amenable to switching out a conservation mix if the homeowner, or if the property owner is amenable to that.
I think that was part of Jamie's recommendation.
Yeah, and I would just clarify again that any existing vegetation should remain. You know, we don't want to undo what is there.
Right. So I guess I make a motion that regarding cease and correct, this Commissioner Basserman, cease and correct.
I don't know that we. If you want to make a motion, you can, but I don't know that a motion's necessary. We just need to make sure that there's clear guidance. The order's already upheld and
okay.
on the land.
So we're
records.
Continuing cease and correct.
We're telling them how to resolve it because we're identifying that conditions have changed over the last 20 years. So if it's easier for you to make a motion to provide that guidance, by all means.
We're just going to continue cease and correct 020201 and cease and correct 041001.
Until it's documented that compliance with the vegetative buffer and berm and plantings per the plan dated January 27/05 has been implemented and inspected, or at which point
and again,
it would be
you'll
able
issue correspondence to that regard, Jamie?
Yep, I can follow up with an email to that effect. And then once that work's completed, it could come back to the commission for lifting of the order. Prior to closing that out and moving on, I would just like to provide the opportunity for questions, comments, concerns.
This is Commissioner Begeman. When we do these, do we usually have that 85% survival rate, a 3 to 5 year monitoring and all that?
Well, so here's the thing. The order's already been up. We're kind of working within what has already been determined by the commission. So, well, what we're looking at right now might not be what we would expect today. I do think we have to respect the terms of what was agreed between the commission and the property owner at the time. So there's been a little bit of, I think, back and forth as far as where the site has been in compliance. And you're ultimately looking for it to be compliant with the plan that was submitted in 2005 in order to be able to lift the order at this point, with the encouragement that a native conservation seed mix be used in consideration of appropriate trees that are tolerant to site conditions be planted for the longevity of those plantings on site. And it's in the property owner's interest to plant something that's going to survive and that the berm be installed. We can't add on new requirements. So I would say the only other thing you could require is a site plan, but at this point the site is vacant. So essentially this 2005 plan arguably is the site plan.
Sounds good to me. Commissioner Begeman.
Any questions or
any questions that you want to raise or clarity, issues of clarity?
So I just want to understand what you're asking. In order for the cease and correct order to be lifted so that we can have our closing, we need to provide topsoil, seed, trees, whatever you're recommending. And once that's done, we can come back to the commission for another site review to see that that was done, and then the cease and desist can be lifted.
That seems to be the course of action.
The recommendation to the commission could be made that the cease and correct order be lifted. It would have to be lifted by the commission. Their next meeting is April 23rd, and then they also have a meeting May 14th. They meet every second and fourth Thursday of the month. I would also just point out that the site plan does call for erosion controls prior to placing topsoil. Whether I think at this point, since you're just doing a minor amount of material, it'd probably be a straw wattle rather than a silt fence to prevent further ground disturbance. But we just want to make sure that there's no migration of material while that seed is establishing, whether they are, hydro seeding, sodding, whatever approach they decide to take. We just want to make sure there's no migration of material. So to keep that in mind. And again, any existing vegetative buffer that does exist can be used as credit. You don't have to undo to implement this plan. You just need to supplement as applicable.
Okay. Agent approvals, anything we need to spend more than 30 seconds on, Jamie, on that? Good.
If anyone has questions, let me know.
Yeah. Any other business?
I'll just note two things real quick. Oh, wait, sorry, correspondence is where I wanted to know.
No, other business. Oh, now you're in correspondence. Okay, moving right along.
Correspondence, I did receive an aquatic pesticide application for the fire headquarters after the filing of the agenda. So I will email that out to commissioners. If you can just take a look at it and let me know if you have any comments by like Monday, I'll get those forwarded out to the applicant and DEEP. And if you have any questions on that process, let us know. But I think everyone here's been around the block for aquatic pesticide applications. And then we did receive an application for receipt last night. 118 Cherry Hill Road for an in-ground pool, which is probably something I'll process administratively. Otherwise, it'll be under applications for review at the next meeting.
Sounds good. Let's hope next time we meet, temperatures are more in the 60s and 70s. Thank you for your attendance and participation. Good evening.
This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Branford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BranfordTV.org.